Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. Hammonds and I are here today to do our Big Fuss Show Week 40, Season 2.
Can I please have your attention?
There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
Hey guys, welcome back. It is Brad with College SportsCast. I've got John Hammonds on here with me tonight. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man?
Another day, another wild stuff going on all the time here in the college world. So if you are with us on our Facebook page, there are ways that you can now help support us. You can send stars while you are watching this or after on our Facebook page, and it helps us earn money to continue to make more content for you guys. Or you can also subscribe to our channel now, and we do have a subscribers page. It's 99 cents a month. It's the bargain of the century. Nothing else is 99 cents ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so you get some your own subscriber page by doing that, and we do put some tips and stuff on there. I do. It's like I said, it's only 99 cents a month, and it helps us to support us to continue to make more podcasts and on our page and info and stuff for you guys. So, all right, wanted to get that out of the way. We are here to do our Big Fuss Show. This is, I believe, Week 40, Season 2. We are kind of winding down. There are 2 weeks left in the regular season in college baseball. And right now, there was some stuff put out last night, yesterday morning, where it is looking like that Kentucky has an outside chance here, John, of being the number 1 overall seed if they can manage some stuff here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, if they can take care of business against Florida and
Vandy next week.
And Vandy next week, there's a good opportunity to have that overall number 1 seed. Now, a lot of that kind of boils down to what they do in the SEC tournament too, because you don't want to lose to a team that's not real good and whatnot. But if they do enough, I think this next 2 days and next week with Vanderbilt and win a few in the tournament, I just don't see how you can't keep them as an overall number 1.
So they went up to their number 4 in the polls, a couple of polls, they're number 4. The D1 poll, they're number 4. The Baseball America poll, I think they're number 6 this week. Mm-hmm. And that's the 2 polls that I really look at. There are, like 5 or 6 different polls in baseball. I have no idea why they have that many different polls. But those are the 2 that I look at, and Kentucky has a really, really good shot here of not only hosting a region,
the super regional,
but being in the top 8 and hosting a super regional.
If you look at the teams that are there, you're probably going to have super regionals as of now. It'd probably be Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee. Texas A&M would be one, and then you would have Clemson most likely. And after that, it's just a crapshoot, honestly, for maybe the last one or kind of sneaking in there. But that is how many SEC teams? That's 5 SEC teams. That's 4.
I mean, SEC
4.
Teams will
SEC
hold most
is they're gonna have a big deal with it in the SEC tournament, and especially the big tournament.
So getting that number 1 overall seed for the SEC tournament is also a big deal because it gives you that double bye, where you don't start playing until the game before the semifinals. So, the quarterfinals. So, that would be a big deal for them as well. I'm not sure that Kentucky has ever had that before in the SEC tournament in baseball. And they are leading currently by 1 game over Arkansas and Tennessee. Tennessee, they can't be tied with because Tennessee beat them 2-1 in the series a couple of weeks ago. So if they're tied, then Tennessee would get that tiebreaker for the number 1 spot in the SEC tournament. So there's a lot going on. Speaking of that, the game they were playing Florida, and I don't know if you can look it up or not. My phone's on the chart.
They moved it back to 3:30 again. It was 1 o'clock, but they then moved it back to 3:30.
Well, it was at 6:30, and then this morning they moved it up to 1 o'clock.
Now it's 3:30 now.
Is it weather related?
It's weather related, yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's weather related. But they're trying to get the game in. Is what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
they're playing Florida. It's a huge series. It's in Gainesville, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Kentucky has not won a series against Florida since 2016. Now, Florida is unranked. They were ranked earlier in the year. They're 10-14 in the SEC play, 25-24 overall. But they have one of the best hitters in baseball. Jack Caglione is one of the best. He had 33 home runs last year. I think he had 27, not just maybe last weekend. I'm not sure exactly how many he's got. I don't know if he hit another one or two.
Don't leave out my boy Charlie Condon. Charlie Condon's having an unbelievable season.
I said one of because Charlie Condon in Georgia is actually leading this year, but Caglione led last year, and he had 27 as of last weekend. So he's one of the best hitters, home run hitters in baseball.
Hey, Cincinnati Reds, if you're listening, pick Charlie Condon second pick.
Jack Caglione wouldn't be a bad one either, man.
He wouldn't be a bad. He wouldn't be a bad consolation prize, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to start the show off with that because it is getting down to the nitty gritty here for the NCAA tournament and the SEC tournament in baseball, and Kentucky's they have never reached Omaha, and it would be something if they could get to Omaha.
Yeah, it would.
They've been to the Super Regional a couple of times. They went last year, got beat by eventual champion LSU in Baton Rouge last year. Did not make the winner of the Super Regional, of course, because LSU beat them. And did not make Omaha. There's 8 teams that make Omaha. And if they could get that super regional spot and play at home,
be a big deal.
That would be huge if they can get it. Absolutely. All right. So what else is going on in the college sports news? I know Calipari had some comments and some things, not only today, he had some comments and stuff yesterday about Kentucky. And I don't know about you, John, but for me, I'm past it. I'm over it. I really wished he'd move on. I've been telling all these fans to move on. And then here comes Calipari, doing an interview or he was on his podcast and making statements about Kentucky. He's tweeting yesterday twice about Kentucky. I mean, come on now.
It's like beating a dead horse, honestly. And
he's acting like Rick Pitino. I mean, I know Kentucky's the pinnacle, and y'all had to move on, but that's exactly right. Move on. I don't like.
Yeah, it's.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not. I mean, listen, Calipari had a great run here for 8 or 9 years. I'm not going to say he didn't, and it was greatly enjoyed over those 7, 8, 9 years. But I'm going to be honest with you. The last 5, 6 really has not been fun. Mm-hmm. Not at all. The last 4 has been miserable.
Well, I wouldn't say it's been miserable at times. Like there's a few plays in there where they beat Tennessee, they beat Auburn on the road. They won some games that they but it's all been boiled. It's been all been boiled down to March, and he's just not produced. Now there's been some big wins.
Nobody remembers that we steamrolled Kansas.
No,
a couple of years ago. Nobody remembers.
For the fans, that's a big deal because it's beating the all-time wins. That's a big deal to them. But at the same time, I still feel like you're valued on what you do in March, and Calipari just couldn't never get it to going. The last 2 or 3 years, it was
and then let's get to his comments today. So he makes comments that more than likely he is planning on only having 8 or 9 scholarship players on his roster.
So he's not going to change after all. So
I just want to throw this at you. First and foremost, here's my biggest issue with this, guys. Has he not learned anything over the last 4 or 5 years about injuries at Kentucky? I mean, John, how many players did we have out at the beginning of the season this year?
There's 2 or 3.
3 that I know of for sure. Eligibility issue.
You had Aaron Bradshaw, Adu Thiero, and then you had Big Z's eligibility thing where he hadn't got eligibility yet. And
Ugana was out at the beginning of the season.
Was out. That's 4.
Yeah. I mean, if you've only got 8 or 9 scholarship players and you've got 3 or 4 injuries and issues, are these managers going to suit up for you or what? I mean, I'm not real sure.
That's what it sounds like.
I'm not real sure where to go with this. I don't like his thought pattern is just, in my opinion, it's in left field anymore. I don't understand.
And I tell people this all the time. And, even if Calipari came back this year to Kentucky, this was probably his last year being here. This was probably it, unless he made some miracle run and he did something out of the order. And we thought that would be this year with Dillingham and Shepard and all of them. And look what happened.
For me, it was the last year. This year,
and then they lost to Oakland, and all that went out the window, and all the different rumors. And to me, the most embarrassing part about the whole process was when him and Mitch got up on national television and done that was
pretty bad.
That was,
to be honest with you, Calipari looked completely uncomfortable there doing that. He didn't speak a whole lot. Mitch done most of the talking. It was very awkward and weird.
You know what I think? I'm not saying I know what's going on in the program. I don't, because I don't have inside information and I don't have eyes in the program. But I feel like, Mitch told him we're going to have this and this happening at the practices. We're going to be doing this and this. We're going to have overseas of things happening at your practices and what in your budget and whatnot. And Calipari is his own man. Calipari likes to do his own thing. He's very independent about things. And I think he just said, you know what, I'm done here.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be.
What
I don't
do you
want to.
think
I won't
about
be
these
treated.
comments about him only having 8 or 9 players? Not only the injuries, he also
I don't know, Brad. I just
alluded is kind of current. He alluded to the women's game as having managers and grad assistants practice against the women. Okay. Well, these are former players. Okay. Most of the time, Dawn Staley does it. She has a great former player team that practices against her women to make sure that her women are at their peak when they play. Okay. I don't think that's going to be quite the same to have a bunch of managers practice against your team.
No, see, here's the thing I tell people about Calipari. He has literally changed in the last 2 or 3 years. Like, he's not the same guy that he used to be. Now, will he get energized and come to a top at Arkansas and go out with smoking flames? Like, we don't know. But at the same time, the things that he did at UK, it seems like he's kind of following that way to Arkansas and doing the same. And, and the thing about it is, and the sad part that really bothers me, is we had him for 15 years, and Arkansas has had him for 3.5 weeks, and they think he's just going to automatically become Calipari when he had John Wall. And listen, y'all.
I mean, there are so many things I could dig into here with all of this. I mean, they picked up Jonas Adu, and they picked up John L. Davis, and everybody's talking about, see, Calipari's going after the transfer portal, and that, he's never done that before and stuff down at Arkansas and everything. That all these fans are talking about it and stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know. Maybe you've heard of a guy by the name that was Oscar Tshiebwe, that was the player of the year, that was a transfer. I'm not so sure, but maybe you guys have heard of Antonio Reeves.
Kellen Grady.
That was third-team All-American.
Davion Mintz was another one. I mean,
I'm just throwing out some of the better ones here. I mean, like in the last 2 or 3 years. And I'm going to ask you. I asked you this off air before we come on. Is John L. Davis going to be better than Antonio Reeves?
He's going to have to get up there to do it. Because
it's a serious question.
There was many nights where Reeves dropped 25, 26 almost every night, seemed like.
Reeves hit 20 points like 22 times or something this past year.
And I don't think John L. is as a great a three-point shooter as Antonio Reeves is either.
He's not. He hasn't been. That's what I'm saying. I mean, yes, I think he averaged 18 points a game. I'm going to give it to him. I'm not saying that he can't. I'm saying, is he going to be better? Because the best of my knowledge as a Kentucky fan, that this great Kentucky team that we just thought we were going to have faded like crap down the stretch and was ousted in the very first round of the SEC and the NCAA tournament. So if John L. Davis isn't better, then how can Arkansas be better?
I'm going to say this, and we're going to get off this topic because we've had enough of Calipari. I mean, he's gone. He's out. We got a new era with Mark Pope. But I'll say this about Cal and going to Arkansas. Cal is basically running the same team back next year with the freshmen and a couple of transfers. And basically the UK team that he had, like some of the UK guys that left and went there, like Aduthiero, Big Z.
But he's not.
But yeah, he's still got a few. He's still got a few. He's still got a few role players, that are out there, and then he's got the freshmen But this freshman class don't even compare to the one that we had a year ago. Like with Dillingham and Shepard and,
Are they going to
Bradshaw.
have a Rob Dillingham? Do they have a Rob Dillingham out of those 7 guys?
I don't think they do. Not at all.
I mean, I'm just saying. These are serious questions. I'm not trying to really put somebody down. I'm looking at it as an analysis way, and I just don't see it yet. And I know that a lot of people are putting them up, I think, way too far, and I just don't see it quite yet. And some of the things that Cal is saying, like I said when I started this, in my opinion, it's completely in left field. I mean, I don't understand. And I didn't understand when he was here. I didn't understand the last 4 or 5 years, the way he operated and the way he done things. I mean, he wants to play 6 or 7 guys 35 minutes a game, and the game has changed. Everybody's running guys in and out. They're playing 10, 11, 12 guys. Guys are only playing 15 to 25 minutes. They're much fresher than we are. We have been.
I'll say this that somebody said yesterday. It's not fun anymore when you're getting beat at your own game. And that's what's happening with Calipari, and what happened with Kentucky is Kentucky used to dominate, from 2010 to 17. They had all the players, they had all the guys, and now everybody else is picking up slack, and all these other teams are getting these guys, and it ain't just Kentucky anymore. It's Marquette, it's Arizona, it's Tennessee, UConn.
It's San Diego States and the FAUs and
it's not Kentucky anymore. Like it's a whole slew of teams now that are picking up the slack and getting good recruits in, and that's where I think
But all these teams I just mentioned, all of these teams are running 10, 11 guys, and they're playing 15 to 22, 24 minutes a game, and they run them in and out, and they're fresh.
My biggest issue with Cal is his ways, how he adjusts to the game. He has no idea on X's and O's at times. He just his coaching sometimes is out there. Let's just say, and that's one thing that I worry about going to Arkansas. So,
all right, we'll move on from that. I had to touch it. I really and truthfully have not touched much Calipari stuff over the last month. John can attest to that. I've tried to stay the HELL away from it, to be honest with you. But there was some stuff this week that I just had to touch on, especially the Kentucky comments yesterday and those going with 8 or 9 scholarship guys. I mean, it's not in touch with the game, if you ask me. I just don't think it is. All right, so college basketball transfer portal news. Since me and you have been on, John, there have been some guys. The big guy from Miami, St. John's, picked up a couple of really big commitments with Patino this past week. Mm-hmm. Got some really good guards with Devion Smith and
Richmond.
Richmond from Seton Hall. I think those are some pretty good moves for Patino, don't you think?
I do. I'll tell you another team that's moving really well this year and probably be top 5 is Baylor. They got Roach, Norchad O'Meara. They got VJ Edgecombe coming in next year as part of a good freshman class. So Baylor's going to be in that top regard too. And I tell you another team that has had a really good offseason that nobody's really talked about is Xavier. Xavier's had a good offseason. Sean Miller, he's picked up some key pieces and some role players. They did lose Desmond Claude, but, they added some guys to kind of take up his slack. But at the end of the day, man, the portal is going to be the portal. There's still a bunch of guys out there. There's probably 200, 300 guys still out there that you could put on your team and put a really good team together at this point.
I mean, I think there's that many guys that could be added to your team as a piece. That's going to help. I don't know right now that you could start from scratch and come up with a top 25 team, maybe. But I think you better
what I'm saying there, you better have your team already together. Like you better have 7 or 8 guys that you have.
Yeah. And
if you had maybe like now, like you're saying, if you have one guy, you would have to throw a team together really quick. And that'd be tough at this late in the game of the transfer portal. Yeah,
but I did want to touch on, just a few teams here. I talked about St. John's and Patino picking up a couple of really good guards. I think that's important for him in the way he plays to have really, really good guard play, fast, quick. He likes to pressure the ball and that kind of stuff as well. So I think that's really good pickups for him. I agree with you on Baylor, man. I mean, even though Kentucky went out and got his associate head coach with Alvin Brooks, like Scott Drews really had a good offseason.
Yes.
He also turned down Louisville and Kentucky, to be honest with you, both. And lost 2 assistant coaches, not one.
2 of them.
He also lost another one. His one behind Alvin Brooks is a head coach now. Some smaller.
FAU.
FAU. Thank you. FAU. The head coach at FAU. And so he's lost 2 assistants this offseason and still been able to pick up Jeremy Roach, Omer from Miami. Keep VJ Edgecombe, even though he's lost the assistants. Nobody has. Well, they had one guy, the 7-footer Noah Boyd, asked out.
Well, and then they had the other guy that the Laudner, Caleb, was it Laudner? He ended up decommitting and playing football for Utah. So, the kid that many thought Mark Pope might look at, but he ended up going to Utah to play football on a football scholarship.
I'm not sure what's going on with Noah Boyd, but I will say this: 5 games into this year, he was a junior college transfer, and 5 games into this year, he blew out his knee. So even if somebody does pick him up, he may not be ready to play this coming year. I mean, at least at the beginning of the year. I mean, he might come along because then it'll be over a year, and he might come along, but he may not be ready to play at least at the beginning of the year. But he did gain that extra year. He has already applied for and gotten the medical red shirt. So he does have 3 years left.
And there's still, like I said, there's still a couple of top guys out there. Wooga Poplar played for Miami. He's still out there. Chaz Lanier. I read this morning where Tennessee and Kentucky are the leaders for him. So it's going to be a Tennessee and Kentucky battle to the end.
It looks like it's a battle, yeah.
And then there's a couple other guys, some big men that are in the portal. Like some pieces that they could fit on people's teams. Trying to think, there was one in particular that I saw the other night, and I can't remember his name.
You got to throw Robinson in there.
Oh, Robinson's in there. I think Mark Pope, like he had he mentioned yesterday, a couple of days ago when he had the interview with Jeff Goodman, that he was going to have some roster pieces in the next week to fill out the roster. So
I think he said week or two last night on Field of 68 when he was on there. I kind of picked up a little bit of that interview. I didn't see it all, but I did pick up a little bit of that interview. He was talking about some of the roster moves that he has made. And we just, talked about some of the guards or guys that can go get buckets. That's what everybody's been talking about. I'm going to be honest with you. I want Rob, and I know a lot of Kentucky fans are Lanier's 19.7 at North Florida. I get it. He scored a lot, but I just feel like that competition is probably not the same as SEC level. And if I was picking, I would go Robinson, Poplar, and then Lanier.
yeah, I would. That's what I would do. I would, if you can't get Lanier, and he goes to Tennessee, I would round out the roster with Poplar and Jackson Robinson, and let's roll and see what kind of team we got.
I still want, and I've been saying this for a week or so at least now, I still think this team needs another power forward.
They do.
Another big guy.
I think, and I said it yesterday.
We basically have three.
I mentioned this in a group chat yesterday that Kentucky just needs a guy that just goes and just gets a shot when the shot clock's running down. Like they just need that one guy. And whether that's Robinson, whether that's Poplar, whether that's Lanier. Now, don't get me wrong, these role players that they got, these pieces, Kirk Rissa, Lamont Butler, Otega Owe, like there's nothing, they're great pieces. But Kentucky needs that one guy that just can create his own shot, a Reeves type player. And I think that guy is either Jackson Robinson or Chaz Lanier. And you're going to have to really give him the money and the NIL to get him here. Like it's going to, which I don't think you'll have to prod Jackson Robinson too much because he was probably most likely coming here anyways if he didn't go to the draft. Now, Lanier, you're probably going to have to pay a little bit for the NIL type thing.
Yeah.
But
so my deal, I mean, all of those three guys, I think we're at least going to get one. We maybe get two, but at least get one of those guys.
Pope. I think Pope's going to have, which he's got 9 right now. I think he's going to go with 11. He's going to have
10 now with Noah, isn't it?
Oh, it's 10. He's probably going to end with 12. He's probably going to get 2 more guys, and that's it. And that will be your roster.
The last piece, if in my opinion, and we ain't heard too many people talking about this, but we need a bench piece big guy. We need somebody. Unless you're coming in and fill in 10, 12, 15, 16 minutes a game and grab 5, 6 rebounds off the bench, score 4 or 5 points, because we got 3 guys, okay? And I know that they're probably going to get the lion's share of the 2 big guys or however we play. I don't know if we'll play with more than 2 big guys, but I figure that's the way he'll play. They'll probably get the lion's share of it. But what happens when you get a couple of them that get in foul trouble or one gets hurt or –
Well, then you're basically going to have to go to small ball. You're going to have to play small ball.
I'd rather have I think we need another 6'9", 6'10" power forward. It doesn't have to be a star. I'm talking about a bench piece here.
Well, and 2, if you not noticed last year, there was a couple games in the season and even in the tournament where Kentucky just got out rebounded. Like they just got out beat to the ball, out hustled, out everything.
Listen, give Ugana a call. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but Ugana's probably looking. Ugana's probably looking for a starting job. If we're
Well, he
if we're being
probably is. I'm not saying
if
he's
we're being
coming
fair,
back. It's not
like
what I'm
he's
saying.
probably looking for.
Well, I mean, he probably is. You're probably right. But,
But here's my thing:
I'm just throwing a name.
even if he don't come back, he's not going to start at Alabama with what they got coming back.
He's not going to Alabama now that they got Cliff Omerai, whatever his name is. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I call him Clifford the dog because he has a joke about it. They aggravate him about being Clifford. He always posts a picture of a dog.
If I'm not mistaken, outside of Sears possibly coming back, they don't have any more roster spots.
Mm-mm. I will say this, while we're on this topic, I wouldn't be shocked if Alabama's preseason number 1.
Oh, they're definitely going to be top 5 for sure. Nate Oates and people last season were kind of dogging Nate Oates at times because of what happened the year before. But I'm going to tell you guys, Nate Oates is doing a fantastic job at Alabama and looks like he wants to stay there. So if that's the case, Bama's going to be a force and be somebody to be reckoned with for the next 5, 6, 8 years with Oates down there, if that's the case.
I got a little topic I want to discuss real quick. So
hang on before we get off Kentucky basketball. Is it still Kentucky basketball related?
No, it's college football.
Okay. All right. Before we get off Kentucky basketball, give me your, with the roster that we have right now, give me your 5 guys.
My 5
Who's your starting
5? Probably Lamont Butler. Andrew Carr is going to be in there. Amari Williams is going to be in there.
I got Owa.
Otiga Owe will be another one. That's 3. And then
that's 4, counting Butler.
That's 4. Yeah. And then I guess you're going to have to start Kirk Rissa, I'm guessing. He's going to have to be in the mix unless they pick up another Jackson Robinson or Poplar or Lanier. And Chris is not a bad piece. Like, people tend to forget that he was on a really good Arizona team a couple of years ago. And he was really good. He was really good.
Number 1 overall seed.
And they had a really good team that year. Mathurin. They had the big what was the big boy's name? I think it was still Ballo, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Ballo.
I believe he was a freshman on that team. Might have been
DeAndre Ayton was on that team, I think.
No.
No, it was before then, I think. But they had some good teams at Arizona with him. And to think he's just another guy is not paying attention to basketball and not paying attention to the box score. Because if I remember correctly, one point during his run with Arizona, he shot over 40-something% from the 3. And now there was a couple of games where he didn't shoot the ball as well and lost him the game, but every player is going to struggle in certain games and whatnot. It's not going to be every night you're going to play the best. So just to act like that he's another piece is just not paying attention to what Mark Pope is doing with this roster.
Well, I think he's going to be a good piece. I really do. So the next thing I wanted to ask you about real quick is let's talk about Trent Noah for just a few minutes. So Trent Noah is one of the best players in the state of Kentucky over the last couple of seasons, and scored over, I don't know, what was it, 3,700 points or something like that in his career.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. From Harlan, Eastern Kentucky. Eastern
13th,
Kentucky boy.
13th region. Yeah.
13th region, same region that Reed Shepherd came from. And he committed and signed with Kentucky, okay, the other day. Now, I'm going to ask you a question to start this. Were you comfortable with the way it was handled with him asking out of his NLI at South Carolina and then less than 24 hours later committing and signing with Kentucky? Were you comfortable with the way that happened?
Well, if I was
Because
a South Carolina,
to be honest with you, I think it was an absolute it was mishandled the way that it happened. That's what I think.
I think if you're a South Carolina fan, you're really upset with this because it just looks from that point of view. And I'm not saying from a Kentucky point of view. From that point of view, it looks like you're tampering with him. That you've contacted him, you've got him to come. But I think Trent Noah, to me, probably wanted to be at UK all along. And I don't.
I'm sure he did. I mean, he's a Kentucky boy. His family, his grandfather played at UK football a long time ago. I mean, his mother is a graduate of Kentucky. His parents, I think, both maybe went there. I mean, I get all that. And I get that he's a Eastern Kentucky kid. And I also get that it's probably a good thing for, the camaraderie of the team and everything, the Kentucky connections. And I'm a Kentucky boy myself. I mean, I get it. But having said all that, about a week before all that happened, maybe it was 10 days, I seen something, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, where Noah had said he was firm in his commitment with South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was a tweet or if it was an article. I can't remember exactly what it was.
It might have been an article. It might have been an interview.
Yeah, it seems like it was something. But I remember seeing that. And then he asked out, and then within 24 hours, not only has he committed to Kentucky, he signed. And I think it was mishandled. I know you're excited about it because you are from that 13th region. I do get it. And you have every right, and so does every other Kentucky boy and everything else. They have every right to be excited about it. But there's two things. One is that. The second thing is this. I mean, as great as Trent Noah has been in high school, I don't think he's the missing piece Kentucky needed for a national championship in 2020.
No, but he helps that. But he helps that connection with 13th region, mountain kids, Trent Noah, Reed Shepherd, and they got another one, girls, Macy Morris,
Yeah.
And you've got the kid. What's the kid from Knox Central? The girl, Hallie Collins. She's one of the top players in the region, and she's going to a Kentucky Indiana All-Star game.
Well, let me ask you this, because you do live in that region, okay? And you know a lot of people who cover high school sports in that area. Is Trent Noah, can he be as good as Reed Shepherd was this past year, this coming season?
Not this year, but I think
I'm not talking about down the road 2 or 3 years, because I think Trent Noah can be a really, really good player.
But what I think people don't seem to realize about Trent is that what he can bring to the table. I went to a lot of games in Harlan, and I went to some of the games at the 13th region, and he was just the best player on the floor. During the state tournament, there was some legit top dudes, in the top 50 recruits, guys that were being recruited heavily beyond Kentucky, and Trent Noah was absolutely outdoing them on the court. He's strong.
He got to Travis Perry.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty even on that deal, but now they're going to play together, so that's a big thing. So, but Trent Noah is the real deal. Like he's legit. He's
I like
big.
his size, 6'6", 200 pounds. I mean, got the frame.
Yeah, and he's not afraid of the moment. Like there was a couple of games where I watched him. Like when they needed a bucket, he just went and got one. And see, that's what Kentucky's been missing. I always say, I joke about it, but it's the truth. Kentucky is getting guys that Calipari had trouble beating in the NCAA tournament. That's the kind of guys that Pope is going after.
Well,
is the kind of guys that we struggle with. The Jack Gokis and all these other guys, the St. Peters.
Bringing up stuff that nightmares are made of.
I know, right? But overall, I want to say this about the 13th region. To say this, all those kids, Hallie Collins, you got Travis Perry, you got Trent Noah, you got the Huff kid at Harlan that's really good. That's going to be really good. He's probably coming back next year for Harlan. And then you got my baby sis, Timberly Frederick at Knox. Like there's a lot of kids in this region that get overlooked because of where it's at. And there's no, I always tell people this, and I joke with them, but I'm dead serious. I pick at Les Dixon. He's a rider in the Eastern Kentucky Mountains, 13th region. But Les Dixon does an unbelievable job with what he does and the time and the effort and everything that he puts into it to cover these kids, to give these kids some recognition and put their names out there. And a lot of people need to give him a little bit more credit than what they do, because a lot of people give him down the road because of certain things that he does with his site and whatnot, with awards and such, because every parent wants their kid to do good but they're doing their best at putting out who should be some of the top players and underrated players. And no matter what, there's still going to be good players out there. And I think, people seem to forget that Eastern Kentucky, and Western Kentucky has had some unbelievable talented players over the years. And I'll go down the line real quick, and I'm on a rant, but I just want to say Todd Tackett. Todd Tackett was one. J.R. Van Hoos. Brandon Stockton was one. You had what was the kid from that went to Tennessee? Chris Lofton. Chris Lofton was another one. I mean, you got all these kids, making it big in Kentucky, and they never got noticed. Oh, and in football, Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb, well, he was from Tennessee, but still, it was still in that regard from your home school. He was sitting in the Alcoa's backyard, and Tennessee never even offered him.
Yeah.
And he goes to Kentucky. So it's a big deal to these kids. It's a big deal to these 13th region kids, and especially these mountain kids and Western kids. And I really like how Pope said last night. He said that he walked in and talked to Jason Hart, and Jason Hart said to him that, man, this Travis Perry kid's a baller. And, we're going to have a fun team. It might not be what you expect this year when it comes to those two, but I think down the road, I think Trent Noah and Travis Perry is going to make Kentucky fans proud, because they play with a lot of heart and a lot of effort. And I'm happy that Noah's here, and I'm happy that Perry's here as well.
Well, we had to get to it since we're talking about Kentucky stuff. I do want to quickly talk about Kentucky women's stuff here real quick. The job that Kenny Brooks is doing is spectacular and being noticed. So Talia Goodman today, who is John Goodman's daughter, by the way.
Jeff Goodman, not John Goodman.
I mean,
You're thinking that.
Jeff Goodman. I know who I meant.
You keep thinking of the John.
No, I wasn't thinking of him. I just said it completely wrong. Jeff Goodman's daughter. But Talia Goodman, she's the one that does all the women's basketball stuff. She was kind of raving about the job with KSR today, raving about the job that Kenny Brooks has done earlier this week. In the way too early top 25, Kentucky women's basketball snuck into the top 25. And I say snuck in at 25. But to come from two 12-win losing seasons and have 8 girls transfer out and to come back in and to be noticed as potential top 20, top 25 team in 6 weeks is an amazing job by a new coach.
And I will say this, the girl they got, the Lawrence girl from UAB, I'm going to tell you something, son. She can flat play. She can flat play.
And they got the girl, the Ivy League girl, that averaged about 15 points a game, 6'1", as well. I mean, the 2 pickups that he had for the guard.
And you add that with Georgia Moore and the group that he's got coming in.
Yeah, that he already had. But I'm saying that's the 2 pickups that he had in the last week or so, 10 days.
That's a really good NCAA tournament team right there.
He's got 11 girls on the roster right now, and more than likely his daughter, Gabby Brooks, who was a redshirt freshman. She was a freshman that redshirted this past year and did not play at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Ability, it would me beyond all shock if she's not added to this roster, which would give you 12, and you can have 13. Now, she was a walk-on at Virginia Tech, so I'm not sure if she's going to fill that walk-on spot at Kentucky or if she will get a scholarship. I'm not exactly sure how that will go down, but I do know that she was a walk-on and she redshirted. She will have 4 years left. I do expect her to be added. However, got to give a huge shout out here to the job that he is doing. Like I said, Talia Goodman was raving about him on KSR today, and the job that he was doing.
Speaking of Talia Goodman, you know, she made that network, the On3, you know, the women's.
She changed over, yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, she's done an unbelievable job. You know, I'll say this. I'm not the biggest Jeff Goodman fan. I like Jeff Goodman. But at the same time, but at the same time, you gotta give her
does a great job.
You gotta give her flowers. He's pushed her to do great things, Jeff Goodman. From what I know, he's a really great dad, and he's supporting her and all that. And I'll support anybody that pushes their dreams out there. And what she's doing with women's basketball is pretty impressive, and it needs to be noticed. And you know, and it seems like she's doing it all by herself, like she's wore out, like she's busting her.
I'll be honest with you. There are some that cover and do this, but she's one of the few that just focuses on women's basketball. That's what she does.
Yeah,
and she reports.
And we need more of that. Like you even said it last year. You was talking with me, and you was just sitting around talking one day, and you said that the women's game needs this because the women's game is far overlooked more than it should be, and it needs to have a lot more eyes on it. And I think with what Talia Goodman's doing, it's bringing a lot of coverage and a lot of media coverage to the game, and especially to social media.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing a great job. She just changed over from the Next, I think was what she was on. She's now part of On Three. And that's why she was on, because KSR is part of On Three as well. And she was on as a guest. And they, Phoenix Stevens done a article that had some quotes from Talia Goodman.
Shout out Phoenix. He does a really good job with Kentucky women.
Yeah, me and Phoenix kind of know each other a little bit, covering Kentucky women's basketball. So I kind of keep up with some of the stuff that he puts out as well.
By the way,
Caroline Lexington Herald Leader as well. She's really great with Kentucky.
I heard they was needing a host for KSR this summer. You ready to go?
Yeah, I've seen that, man, by the way.
Yeah, I was laughing about it. Like somebody had.
Yeah, so I don't know. There was 2 or 3 people, maybe 4. I don't know. There was a few. It was more than one. I do know that they were looking for some hosts, and our names got mentioned, which is pretty cool, by the way.
We got tagged in it, at least.
We got tagged in it. At least it was more than one. It was at least 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, well, at least we're getting noticed. You know what I mean? Hey.
Yeah. I mean, Alyssa Lang put in it, and he was like, well, good. 1 spot's taken. I mean, I can't compete with Alyssa Lang. So
you're out of your league there right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't compete with Alyssa Lang, but I mean, but it was pretty cool to be mentioned.
I got a quick thing real quick for college football.
When they were lots of whatever.
I'm guessing today the cover picture of the Kentucky of the NCAA football video game 25 came out today, and everybody was like having a I guess a panic attack because they haven't seen it in forever, and they was going bananas on Twitter, X as you would call it now. Did you ever play those games growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I played some college football games. There wasn't too many of them, but there was a few.
You lived in the Ice Age, Brad.
I mean, there never really has been too many college football or college basketball either. Either one. There was a few of them that was put out, but it all had to do with that name, image, and likeness stuff, and they couldn't do it.
Well, from what I gather, some of the things that are going to be in the game, Kentucky's going to have the cold whistle. Kentucky's adding the cold whistle to the game. They're going to have a few things. You know what they really need in that game, as I was laughing, is it's a party whenever Kentucky's coming out of the locker room.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty neat. Like,
I'm going to be honest with you.
I'm
not a gamer anymore. Like, it's been – I mean, I've really only played maybe 2 or 3 games in the last 10 years, to be honest with you. I played a little Rocket League because I do have some kids, so I played a little Rocket League, and I played a little bit of Fortnite. A little bit, not much, but a little bit. I'm definitely not any good at it at all. Okay. And then,
I will say this: laser tag.
Rocket League.
I like to play laser tag when I was a kid. We used to have birthday parties, and we'd go play laser tag. That was kind of fun. And
then the other one is 2K NBA. I can't remember exactly which one. A couple of them that I had played. I have one that had Kobe in it still, and I played with it a lot. It was like, I can't remember if it was 16 or 17 or 18. I can't remember. It was one of the last ones that Kobe was in.
Yeah, and it's just kind of awesome to see the fans getting engaged with it, though, because the day that it comes out, it's going to be balls to the wall. Like
honest with you. I'm kind of interested in playing this. And this is not through my kids and stuff because they're getting bigger now. So this is just me. I am kind of interested in at least playing this. because I do love college sports, of course, and college football would be fun. I used to love Madden. And when I say used to, I'm talking quite a long ago.
Yeah.
I ain't played it in ice ages. I mean, like,
You played the old Madden when they looked like little squares and they just flopped over. Like those were the
Madden. Oh yeah, I'm talking Madden. I'm not talking about I'm talking a long time ago Madden.
We're talking about old Madden where their faces just hit the ground and it just it was a different kind of game.
I used to love Madden. Playing it. I'm old school, okay? I mean, my favorite football game of all time is Tecmo Bowl, okay? And I'm just you can give me but the Raiders with Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson, and I'm gonna whoop your ass in that game every time.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I got a quick question for you, real quick before we kind of, because I think we're on an hour here.
Yeah, we are.
What do you think about the Shaq and Shannon Sharp beef going on right now? And Shaq just made a song.
Seen a
he
little
rapped
bit
a song. He rapped a song about Shannon Sharp this morning. Yes,
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Yes, I'll have to tag you in it. But
I've only
rapped
seen
a
a little
song.
bit. I'm going to say this. This all started when he told Djokovic that Shea Alexander, Gildas Alexander, should have been MVP. And I'm going to be honest with you. He should have been MVP. I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean,
I'm not mad. See, that's the thing. I'm not mad that Shaq said that to him because most people would have never said that to his face.
Exactly. I don't understand these people who are acting like there was something wrong with that. If he was going to say it, wouldn't you rather him say it to his face than to say it behind his back?
Yeah, I would. And then he went after Shannon, and Shannon went after Shaq. And then this morning, I think it might have been this morning. It might have been this afternoon. I don't remember. But Shaq rapped a song about Shannon Sharp.
I saw where Shaq told Shannon Sharp, maybe you should be in the top 10 all time before you speak on my end or something like that. I don't know.
We got Drake and Kendrick Lamar beefing. We got Shaq and Shannon Sharp beefing in the year of our Lord. Like, what is going on, everybody?
Listen, I know nothing about the Drake Kendrick Lamar stuff. Not a thing. I don't keep up with that at all. I'm a sports guy. I don't even care. It means nothing to me whatsoever. If they want to have a beef and dig holes for each other, I don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't.
Hey,
but
I'm a Tupac guy anyway.
And Shannon Sharp stuff. I mean, for me, it's two guys that maybe kind of mean it a little bit, but they're also two guys that just like getting one over on somebody as well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really think.
I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm Shannon Sharp, I like Shannon Sharp and I love Shaq. I'd be careful trying to push Shaq up against the wall because Shaq's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Shaq's a pretty good sized fella. One of the most dominant big men in the league. Like, you're going to,
If you're asking me about dominance in basketball, I think he's the best one that's ever been as far as being physically
gifted. Yeah. And, he's one of the top big men in
find anybody that played.
So
big man, physically dominant. That was any better.
Yeah. In
my opinion. Not physical in the middle. I mean, I just don't see it.
No.
But, you know, I don't have an issue with what Shaq said, not at all. Like, I give him props for saying it, you know, to his face in an interview, just like this, me and you talking. I mean,
And Joe, he never really took it to heart. He said everybody has their opinions.
Well, yeah. He didn't have an issue with it. So why in the world, if he said it to his face and he didn't have an issue, why in the world does everybody else have an issue with it? People need to go on somewhere in today's world, to be honest with you, about most of the stuff. Like, it's just ridiculous most of the time. All right, man. We are going to wrap up our show. This Sunday is Mother's Day. So we want to send a happy Mother's Day wish to all the mothers out there. And we probably will not do a show on Sunday. So just to let you guys know, because it is Mother's Day, and we'll probably let John and Roberts and everybody enjoy their wife and mother and, you know, and all that kind of stuff this Sunday. But we have a
few special guests coming on in the next couple of weeks, so be on the lookout. We're working on some things. So
yeah, we're working on a few things, but we're going to kick into some gear here and do some coverage of the SEC baseball tournament, and the last week or two here of the regular season as well, and the college series.
Because after that, it gets, which unless you watch Major League Baseball, it gets kind of dull. Like
after the Omaha and the College World Series, it kind of dies down for a month or 6 weeks or so. So we will kind of take a somewhat of a break through that as well, and then kick off season 3. So, but that's what we got to look forward to. Of course, we will come in, you know, if anything big happens. But I think it's within, you know, right around Omaha time for baseball is when the NBA draft is as well at the end of June. And then there's just not much after that for about 6 weeks. So we will see you guys more than likely on Tuesday night next week. Hope everybody has a happy Mother's Day. And John, you with your mom as well. So, yeah. So, you know, we will see you guys next week.